Hello, this is Laura from Create Access. In this video, you will learn about creating 3D models in a web-based tool called Tinkercad. Tinkercad is a freely available and easy-to-use 3D modeling tool that runs on a web browser. It's a versatile program that can also be used in electronics and coding fields. The skills you will learn in this lesson provide foundations for many advanced 3D modeling skills used across disciplines. The 3D models you create in Tinkercad can be used in many ways. For example, you can add them to a larger 3D world you've created, or use them to build a dynamic and visually engaging website using 3D features. To get started, open Tinkercad on your web browser by going to tinkercad.com and signing up for a free personal account. To start a new project, select the Create Your First Design option on your dashboard. If you've used Tinkercad before, you can also find the Create button on the right side of your screen. If you prefer, you can rename your project anytime by clicking the title in the top left corner. The viewport is the main work area on screen that you can navigate in 3D. Throughout this lesson, it is recommended that you use an external mouse for ease of navigation. You can use the scroll wheel to zoom, hold down the middle mouse button to pan, and hold the right mouse button to rotate. The two-dimensional blue grid in the viewport is the work plane. It acts like a floor in the 3D scene and can help you orient yourself in the 3D space. Tinkercad comes with its own library of basic shapes, which you can find on the right-hand panel. Click on the shape you want and drag it onto the work plane. To move your shape on the work plane, click on the shape and drag it to the location you want. To move it vertically, use the cone icon at the top of the shape. To rotate the shape, use the half circle arrows on different sides of the shape and drag. You can scale your shape on different axes by clicking and dragging on the white square icons around the shape. When you click on a shape to select it, it will be highlighted in blue in Tinkercad. You can use a drop-down menu on the upper right corner to change the object's shape, dimensions, colors, and more. Keep in mind that this menu is customized based on the selected shape, and not all shapes will have the same settings. Tinkercad has more shapes in its library, such as letters and numbers, characters, vehicles, and more. You can find the additional shape libraries by clicking the Basic Shapes library drop-down on the right panel. You can click and add these shapes to your project and edit them any way you like. When you have multiple shapes on your work plane, you can group them together so they become a single shape with the same material. This can be helpful if, for example, you've used a triangle and a rectangle to create a roof with a chimney, and you want to keep these shapes together in your model. Select the shapes you want by holding down the Shift key and clicking on the shapes. Then click on the group icon on the top bar, or press Ctrl and G to group the shapes. Grouped shapes will have the same material applied. If it's important for your shapes to have different colors, within Tinkercad or later in other tools, keep them separated. You can ungroup objects by selecting the ungroup icon at the top bar, or by pressing Ctrl, Shift, and G. You can use the group functionality in Tinkercad to combine objects together as well as subtract them from each other. Use the Whole option from the Shape dropdown for one of your shapes. You will notice that the shape will turn transparent. This is the shape that will be cut out from another. Next, pick the shape you want to cut out from. Move and align both of your shapes so that the transparent one is overlapping with the other over the area you want to cut out. Through the top menu, or with Ctrl plus G, group the two shapes together. You will notice that the transparent one will disappear, and you will be left with a single shape that has a hole cut out on its surface. The Align tool in Tinkercad can help you align multiple objects on the same plane or axis. For example, the Align tool can be helpful if you have multiple little houses and you want to make sure they're aligned on the side of a road. Select all the shapes you want to align by using the Shift key and click on the Align tool on the top bar, or press L. Use the circular handles to select the direction in which you want to align your shapes. If you make a mistake during the alignment or throughout your project, you can always undo with Ctrl-Z. There are a couple other tools in Tinkercad with different functions that can help you create more custom 3D models instead of relying only on building blocks. The first tool we'll be using is the Scribble tool. Find this tool in the library panel on the right and click and drag it to the work plane. A new window will open up where you can use the Scribble tool freely to draw your custom shape. Scribble tool gives the creator the ability to use a free-flowing brush to draw on a 2D plane, and then extrudes the shape for you to create a 3D model out of the drawing. A 3D representation of your scribble will appear in the top right preview window. When you're happy with your scribble and the 3D shape, click Done at the bottom right corner, and you'll be brought back to the 3D workplane. Here, you can find the 3D result of your scribble along with your other shapes. You can move and scale it just like any other shape in Tinkercad. If you'd ever like to go back and adjust your scribble, double-click on your shape to open the 2D drawing window again. Extrude Sketch tool works similarly to the Scribble tool, except this time you can sketch with rigid or curved lines instead of with a brush. From the library panel, click and drag the Extrude Sketch tool to your workplane. Click anywhere on the grid to start by placing a point. Keep clicking to create connected lines to build your shape. By default, the tool will use rigid lines to connect the points. If you'd like to create a shape with smoother edges and curves, you can use the curve options from the left side of the window. When creating with curves, click and then drag your cursor to create a point and determine the direction of the curve. Once you close the shape you've created by connecting all the points, the tool will automatically create a 3D shape based on your sketch. When done, click the Finish Sketch button at the top right corner, and you will see a 3D shape created by extruding your 2D sketch. Lastly, the Revolve Sketch tool is a new addition to Tinkercad, but works similarly to the previous ones. Find the Revolve Sketch tool in the library and drag it onto your workplane. This tool also helps you create shapes with lines and curves. However, this time, instead of extruding your sketch, the tool spins your sketch along a vertical axis to create a 3D model. Click and drag along the grid to create a shape. The preview window will show you what the 3D version of your sketch looks like. You might notice that this tool is fairly similar to creating a vase on a pottery wheel. When you're happy with your sketch, click the Finish Sketch button in the top right corner, and you will see your 3D model added to the workplane. Position and scale as you wish. When you're done creating in Tinkercad, you can export your 3D model and download it to your computer. This will allow you to bring in and use your model in other platforms. Click on the Export button at the top right of your screen. In the Include options, you can choose to download everything in your design or just the selected shapes. There are multiple file types available to download your 3D model, all of which are good for different use cases. For our purposes in this lesson, we will be using the .obj format for exporting. Tinkercad will download your model to the Downloads folder on your computer in a zip folder format. To access your model in this zipped folder, you need to extract the file. Open the Downloads folder on your computer and navigate to the zip folder from Tinkercad. Right-click and select Extract All. You can now access your 3D model. Inside the Tinkercad folder, you might notice two different files. The file named Tinker is an OBJ file that contains the shape of your 3D model. The file named obj.mtl is an MTL file that contains information about the colors and textures of your 3D model. Keep in mind that when importing your Tinkercad model to a different software, you can select and import both of these files together to retain all the information. You can now use your creativity to create any 3D model you want on Tinkercad and download it to be used in other software and 3D tools. Have fun creating, and thanks for watching.